Hello, all, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Rachel Jones, and I'm a sales coach for software and service businesses. And today I am joined by Don Claus, and you have Simpler Digital. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that for us?
Sure. Simple Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency. We're located throughout the country, but I'm out here in Denver, Colorado, and I've been with them for 7 years.
Okay. And can you share a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure, we're a full-service digital agency. We do almost everything: OTT, radio, all that kind of fun stuff. But what our hot button lately has been our AI SEO, which we've rolled out in January.
Now, did you ever think when you got into it that you would be going down the path of SEO, or was that something that initially drew you in a couple years ago?
No, that's a good question. It's a funny story, actually. When I first got here 7 years ago, I'm from the East Coast, by the way, I'm from New York. When I got here 7 years ago and I was doing interviews, this interview, my job I'm on right now, was the last of many that day. And I had a chip on my shoulder, and I never wanted to work for a digital marketing firm. And mainly because I'm getting older, and I heard horror stories about digital marketing. So I went in there with a bad attitude, and I actually gave the worst interview in my career. I actually said things like, "Don't have a meeting on Thursday. I'm getting old. I'll probably fall asleep in it." Yeah, and he had a sales manager at the time, and she was 100% cold calling, and I knew that going in. And the next thing I said was, "Oh, by the way, I will not cold call anybody ever."
Mm-hmm.
And she just opened her mouth, was like, she thought I was crazy. And then I saw him laughing, the CEO who was there. And so I kept going with it. And I started talking about my first job out of college in New York. And I had a lot of crime bosses involved in that. And I was talking about my mafia connections. And these people are from Nebraska, and they were looking at me like I was totally crazy. So I just left, and I went home, and I said, "I don't care. I didn't want the job anyway." 2 weeks later, he calls me up, Tyler, and he says he wants me on his team. I'm like, "Why?" I said, "I know what I said. I wouldn't want to hire me. I don't want to work for you now because you want to hire me." And he laughed. He goes, "No, Don." He goes, "I know exactly what you did. I know why you did it. And can you just come in so we could show you our capabilities?" So at that time, I was blown away because that never happened to me before in my life. And I said, "Sure, Tyler, I'll come on in." That's where I learned their background. And at the time, it was Homeland Security, IRS, military contractor IT. You can't get more creepier than that in digital marketing. So he showed me what their capabilities. This was 7 years ago. And I said, "If you can do this, I'm in." And that's how I got into SEO. I was in mortgages for 26 years before this. So, yeah.
That's hilarious. I feel like at some point you and I will need to have a virtual happy hour that is not recorded so that I can find out some more of these stories from your East Coast days.
Oh boy, yeah. It was John Gotti times too, by the way. I'm an old guy. I've been around. So that was when John Gotti was running the mob. And yeah, I got some stories for you.
Okay, well, I'm down for that. Now, can you explain some of the SEO challenges that small businesses or mid-sized businesses are kind of running into these days?
Sure. Mostly the small and mid-size. The problem with SEO, and it's always been this, it's been the long game, correct? Everybody says it's the long game. I mean, you got to give it some time. And that's great for bigger companies, but the smaller guy with a smaller budget, typically, they would get told a story. "I'll get you here in 10 months, and they don't know how it's going to happen, and they sign up for it. The problem is they don't spend enough, or they didn't spend enough. And it usually would take 24 to 48 months to see any results on a lower spends, right? And then they usually dropped out after the 9th month. So they never heard anything. It might have been working. They had no idea because they didn't stick around long enough. But again, that's the biggest problem, is that the small to mid-sized guy just has a hard time playing in this space, because by the time it actually starts ranking for them, they've already quit and moved on to something else. So that's been the issue in the SEO field. And in January, if you talk to me, our starting price is $2,600 minimum that I talked to somebody, because we didn't feel we could help the smaller guy, because it just wasn't going to work for him.
Right. Now, I'm curious. I've always heard with SEO that it's very labor intensive. So you have somebody that's having to go in there manually a lot and checking in on the words that are being put in, making sure that you have all the key ones, making sure they're not shifting in the marketplace. Now, what is it that you do that is different than those traditional folks that are taking so long and are so expensive and so labor intensive?
Sure, sure. And that's what I'm here for today, actually. So again, we've been doing traditional SEO. I've been here 7. The company's 20 years. We've been doing it. We don't do traditional SEO anymore. What we're doing now has increased, and you were right. When you pay an agency like us, you're paying for time. You're paying for the human time. And as we rolled out our AI SEO, well, something happened. What you typically know what AI does, it takes away jobs. Okay. We used to have a whole team of SEO experts with each client. Now we have one expert with the AI to keep it on track. So what that has done is that reduced our margins quite a bit. So now when I said, in January it was 2,600, now we're at about 850 and we're driving results in 1 or 2 months. So what the AI has done, it's just sped up the whole process. It's taking SEO out of the long game and actually has made it happen much quicker because of that. And it's also taken out the human error that's associated with SEO, right? Because let's look at keyword research. Typically, it would take a human a little while to figure out that going down that wrong path, it's not working. Now, when we have AI working with machine learning 24/7 on keyword research, so it knows quickly if it's not hitting, it's changing up automatically. So there's a bunch of things AI is doing, but the main thing is it's just making everything move much faster. So again, instead of taking 9 to 24 months, we're doing it in 1 to 3 months.
Wow. Now, what type of, I know you said about roughly 850 is the starting point. What type of return on investment? I know timing is shorter so that you're getting up, but what is the perks of joining into something like that?
Well, like you said, it's a much faster. You're not waiting for these results to happen. It almost takes away the need for pay-per-click in some instances, right? We used to do pay-per-click in the first 3 months because we knew SEO wasn't going to even rank in those first 3 months. And that pay-per-click would help them get some information, get some upfront stuff happening so they wouldn't be upset. Now we've been seeing, and I'm not going to say it's happening for everybody, but we've been seeing results within weeks and no less, maybe maximum 1 to 2 months right now. So again, the ROI is going to come quick. And we try to get the ROI within hopefully the first 90 days.
Now, I know that you and I had talked offline about somebody who they were like, I'm not getting these leads. Where are they coming from? And then you said, have you checked your email or where are they going? And they had about 90 leads in there that they hadn't even touched.
Right.
If somebody is getting these leads sent to them because you've helped them get their company more visible, really roughly about what turnaround time should they be doing? Because I, as a salesperson, say it needs to be, as soon as possible if I can, but definitely no later than 24 hours because otherwise they've gone to the next company down there.
Online leads, within the first 10 minutes, you should get onto those because otherwise they're going to be gone to the next if nobody gets onto them. So again, our biggest problem, and I'm talking to you, and we spoke before, our biggest problem with our clients is they don't have those processes in place. They don't have those sales processes in place. The second biggest problem we have with them was scalability. Can they scale from what we're sending them? And people laugh at me on that one. They go, oh, that should be my biggest problem. No, it will be. If we send people to your site and you don't get to them, they're gone. You wasted your money and our time making that effort happen. So scalability is a big issue as long as with sales. And we always look for coaches, consultants to help us, right? Because you guys are there trying to get these processes in place and we're there trying to drive those leads so they can make those sales.
Right. Now you mentioned that there might be some sales coaches that are working with you guys, and are you seeing like salespeople being resistant to this change or being overwhelmed by this change, or you're seeing them, they're like getting gung-ho because they're making more money now?
Right. No, the sales coaches love it, obviously. And the sales guys that I work with, they love it because we're helping them, all right? They're there to train them how to sell and we're selling leads. So we don't go after direct business. You know this. That's why I deal with coaches, consultants, fractionals, and like the CMOs, because it's much easier for me to talk to them and have them refer us in, and then
Right.
takes away that fear that's with my industry, because you can't see, touch, or feel SEO. I'm
Yes.
told I need it, and then it's taking a long time, and I'm spending money. So again, communication is key in my space, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of communication in our area, unfortunately. And that seems to be the big problem with SEO is the lack of communication, understanding of what's happening. But no, they love it.
Any particular industries that you seem to gravitate towards when you're talking to these folks?
We could do everything, but we've been doing a lot on the med spas. We do a lot of med spas. We do a lot of health and beauty. Not that I like them necessarily. They're always kind of the harder people to deal with, But again, we do real well with those. We do good with attorneys. I've got a bunch of coaches working with me right now. So it really doesn't matter, B2B, B2C. It doesn't really matter to us. You just need to know who your people are and where you want to get them from.
Is there kind of an intake process as they're starting out with you or the AI just works in the background from the get-go?
Not at all. The reason we call ours AI SEO hybrid is because we have a human attached to them, right? It's very important. There are plug and plays out there right now. They're getting very bad reviews. They're cheap, $45 a month, $90 a month. They're saying hey, AI SEO. The problem is it's by itself, and AI still can go down rabbit holes, and then you're lost, right? So again, we make sure that a human's on there. And the other thing we do differently than some of these agencies is we make our clients talk to us. And what do I mean by make? Well, if you don't get on these calls with us on a monthly basis, we're going to fire you. We don't want to work with you. We have found communication goes a long way in taking away that fear I talked about earlier, right? So what we do differently is after 30 days, we're building out customized dashboards for each client. They're seeing everything we want, and it's not 19 pages of Google Analytics that they don't care about. We're giving them what they need to see. Now, to get that, we kind of tell them you have to be on a meeting with us once a month. And in that meeting, he's talking to his AM, the person who's running his thing. They're going over the findings, what's working, what's not working. And we actually train them up a little bit on SEO. So they're going to learn a little bit, whoever's sitting there from the company. What we have seen from that is we keep our clients a lot longer. I think my space loyalty is only 9 months. Ours is about 4+ years.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't lose clients once we get them, mainly because, again, we become more of a team than their client. We're more of working with them to drive this business. So, again, my first client I signed 7 years ago, she's still with me today. So
that's awesome.
We keep our clients. Yeah.
Now, is there an impact story that you can mention? I know we talked about an HVAC company a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, there are two. I mean, again, this is new. This is early. We're in early stages. We just rolled this out in January. And I was looking for case studies. And the one was an HVAC company who came to us. And HVAC is an extremely competitive industry. One of the more competitive industries. And he came to us saying, hey, Don, we've done this before many times. I've never got to anywhere on page one, no less the top. And he was very reluctant to start with us. We do something with our clients too, just to get them to start with us, because we understand a lot have been burnt before. All we ask for is 90 days. You're going to sign a contract for a year, but after 90 days, if it's not working, you're free to go, right? So we got them in that way. Within 3.5 weeks, and this is not something that happens all the time, but with this gentleman, within 3.5 weeks, we had him at the top of page one, which he'd never even sniffed before. Another gentleman came in after 1 month. He saw his site uptick in traffic over 1,100% in 1 month. That was the first month. Typically, we would never do anything in the first month because we're doing all the back end stuff, and that's where the AI comes in and has changed things here. We've taken 24 human hours of work, not 1 day of work, but 24 actual hours, and we're actually doing it in seconds right now. So again, that's where the speed's coming into play. It would take us a month before we'd even do SEO. Now we're onboarding and actually ranking possibly within the first week or two.
That is impressive. Now, I'm curious, outside of working with you, What would you have as a tip for somebody who is a business owner that's considering getting SEO for their company?
There's a lot of things, a lot of people don't understand. We use a lot of things that they can use. There's a lot of third-party sites out there that we drive our business from. Like, you can go see what your competition's doing. You can actually go in there, put their URL in, and they'll show you their keywords, what's working, what's not working. There's a site called GT Metrics, which shows you your on-site, how you rank on-site. Very, very important. That's free. You have to sign up for an account. It's called GT Metrics. And basically what it does is you put your URL in there, and then it will scan you and give you a grade like in school, A through F. And if you have A and B, that's great. That's where you want to be. But if you have a C, D, and F, you need to work on that. Now, the cool thing about GT Metrics is they actually will show you what the problem is and how to fix it. And this is very awesome. And the reason I tell people, even if they don't work with me, to do this, because Google could change something today. You could be doing an A today, and tomorrow you're a D. Now, you didn't do anything different to your site. Google just changed the way certain things got to look. We have to go in and make sure that gets changed back. So I usually tell people to run this once or twice, at least twice a month, beginning and end, and just make sure you're still ranking. Because what Google does, why this is important, they don't want to send someone to a site that is not going to be, that the people aren't going to enjoy being. So everything has to run really well, look really well. Doesn't matter what keywords you're ranking for. If your site's terrible, they're not going to send people to you. So it's very important. And the last thing I'll tell you is location scan, which is citations.
Okay.
Citations are extremely important. People don't even understand that. What's a citation? A citation's directories, local directories. And I get companies saying, well, I'm a national company or international. I don't need local directories. Yeah, you do. You know why? Because Google wants you to have at least 50 of them. Mm-hmm. So what we do right off the bat is make sure you're on 50 of these citations and then build from there. You can go see on your own what these citations are. There's I think on your phone, the app phone, you go to the apps and you put in location scan. That's a third-party app that if you put in your name, address of your business, it will show you all the citations that are out there in your area. They'll show you the ones that you're on, and it'll also show you the ones that you have mistakes on. And why is that important? Because Google wants you to be the same across all citations. And a mistake could be you don't have a suite number, or your phone number may be off, or something's not right. So all of these have to be exactly the same. Now, are you going to get a lot of business doing this? Probably not. But again, it's because Google wants you to do this. Again, we do a lot of things just to make Google happy. And then the SEO comes after that. So those are some things you can do. And like I said, there's plenty of third-party sites like Moz, M-O-Z, and Majestic, where you can see keywords and you can see backlinks. And there's a lot of things that we do you can do, but that's the reason you hire us. You don't have time to do all that.
Exactly. We don't want to. We want somebody else to handle that. And
but those two I gave you are really easy to do, and there's something you should understand and know if you're a small business, and you should get those things taken care of.
I appreciate you giving that to our listeners. Now, I'm curious, Google, you said, is ever changing, right? And they always change,
yep.
What they want from any type of social media all the time, or from your website. Now, the AI is now adjusting to that as soon as they learn that new protocol, they're adjusting to that. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. And we can pretty much now work with almost any site. Now, it's funny. In the past, we didn't like to work with the Wixes of the world, GoDaddy, Squarespace. Their back end was not that great for SEO. And they're getting better. I'm not going to lie. They load nice. They look good. But the interesting thing about our AI SEO, it works really well with those companies. Where we have trouble or we have to look into sometimes are the custom made sites, because then we have to go in and see if it is compatible. But yeah, SEO is the game has changed. If you're still doing traditional SEO, you're probably paying too much and not seeing the results.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I will link your contact and your website below. And if there's anybody that has questions about it, we'd love to have them throw it in the comments, and myself or Don will get back to you. But thank you, Don, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and have a wonderful weekend.
Have a